Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Saturday. This is Jen Black. Welcome to episode 43 of All Monitor Talk. Mike Stefani won't be with us today, but we have with us Brian Waterlow. Hey, buddy.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And joining us today is none other than Quetzal. Hey, dude.
How are you? How are you?
Thank you for joining us today on All Monitor Talk.
Yeah, pleasure.
So how are you doing? How's everybody?
I'm good. I just came back from Florida.
I
On the show, visited a bunch of reptile friends there. Got a little food poisoning on the way back from some bad shrimp, but other than that, I'm good. I'm cured now. On the subject of monitors, I did get to see what I'd never seen in the flesh before. I saw a live Varanus caruvalens from Hamahata, that's a gorgeous, gorgeous animal for anyone who doesn't know that.
Oh my goodness. Wait, what is this? What are we talking about here? I got to look this up now.
It's Varanus caruvalens.
Varanus.
Oh,
they call it
the turquoise monitor.
Yeah, turquoise monitor. Yeah, I'd never seen a live one. You seen live ones before?
I have. They're awesome.
Yeah, it's gorgeous animal.
Wow. Unfortunately, you can't really find a lot of them. But yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah, this guy,
gorgeous
he had them in an outdoor exhibit, I think, an enclosure.
Yes. Yeah, yep. Yeah. And yeah, the colors were really small, really stunning animal.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Is those are the ones that Nikki has?
Nick has the one male.
Okay. I was like, why does that sound so familiar to me? And then sure enough, yeah, it literally comes up on the Nick Lillis's post.
Yeah, they're kind of almost an indicus, but kind of maybe more suited to like a peach throat kind of a.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. It was like midway between an indicus and a peach throat with the face and with really stunning colors.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They are.
Yeah, years ago they popped up a little bit here and there, but ever since it's been a little sporadic and you don't see them that much.
Yeah, that picture doesn't do them any justice.
Yeah, I was gonna say this picture is kind of on the darker side. I think they're a lot.
You got to see them in like natural sunlight.
Yeah, in natural sunlight, that's what really does it.
Oh, that blue.
Yeah,
turquoise.
The blue will blend with the turquoise and green.
Yellow, right? Like a lot of yellow makes that pop.
Yeah, really stunning animal.
So, okay. Do you still have the location in Costa Rica?
Oh no, I sold that. It was really impossible. It became impossible to work out of there, just with all the laws and restrictions and headaches. It's not. I mean, I don't mind fighting. I've been fighting my whole life, but it's like fighting against a fast rising tide is not how I want to spend my last years.
Yeah,
sure. Life is supposed to get a little easier as time goes by, not the other way around.
Exactly.
So now Reptilandia is now in Texas. Like, how is the transition going from Costa Rica to Texas?
Well, I mean, it wasn't shocking. I mean, it's like here you got a lot of freedom, but you have the taxes and all that's a lot stricter here as well. So, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but I do not regret the move. I'm 100% happy that I made it up here, even though during the, when I had to borrow money to get the place set up and there was all types of headaches and, it looked like there was some times when I really thought that it might fail, which was really nerve wracking. Because, it's hard on your mind, failing. But I got through all that and, here I am. I still got some big debts, but whatever, such is life. I'm not used to living that. That's the American way. People are like, that's how everyone lives up here. But I'm still not quite used to it yet.
Yeah. So Quetzal, I guess like everybody else in this hobby, how did you get started? Becoming fascinated with reptiles and, what's your origin, I guess?
All right. Well, I was born in 71. And so in the like late 70s and early 80s in New York, there was all types of exotic animals all over the place and exotic stores like close to the schools that I went to. There was one place called Exotic Aquatics, you know, where they used to get all types of crazy stuff in, and you'd see like sun gazers for like $60 and all types of wild stuff, you know, which was, you know, when I was 10, that was beyond my price range, you know, but and there was another place called Fang and Claw, which was around the corner from my junior high school. You know, they had a lot of cool stuff there. And when my dad used to like to go upstate when he had time off, and I'd go with him upstate, and we'd you know, we'd go in the woods and catch turtles and snakes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically how it started.
So I know we've known each other for a long time, back in the early 90s, talking on the phone. Yeah. I do remember the whole conversation. We're like, dude, I'm saving up my money. I'm going to open up a zoo in Costa Rica, and I'm out of here. And back in my mind, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm sure that'll happen. And I remember you calling, and you're like, I did it. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. Yeah. So you want to, I don't know, maybe delve into that backstory a little bit of how you came up with the idea and like, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
All right. Well, when I was like 22, I believe it was, I was at an IHS, and I met this English guy named Jim Pether, who had a reptile zoo in Canary Islands, and you know, I had always been a little intimidated about pursuing reptiles as a career because I don't have any higher education or anything like that. I also didn't want to do it because, I mean, I didn't want to get to a point where I became a dealer and got desensitized to the animals. So that was a concern. But anyway, the lease on my apartment was up at about that time. So half jokingly, I said to the guy, you know, well, how about I come over and work for you? And he was like, yeah, sure. I could use somebody in 3 months. And I was like, okay. And so I went over there for like 6 months, learned Spanish. I saw how stuff was like shining in the, you know, keeping stuff outdoors that was appropriate to the climate. And, you know, having people pay to come and look at your collection and breeding everything. That was when I decided it's what I want to do with the rest of my life. And it's like when I made that decision, it gave me like a strength that I never knew I had. You know, because when you know exactly what you want, you got your eyes on the prize. It's, you know, the amount of discipline, the amount of hard work really brings out the best in you. So I chose Costa Rica. I mean, Costa Rica, I wasn't historically most interested in neotropical stuff. I was historically most interested in Australasian critters. But I mean, it wasn't practical to get set up in Indonesia because you can't own land as a foreigner. And, you know, I had to go back and forth, you know, go like, you know, 4 months down there, come back to New York, 4 months and work. And if I would have done that in Indonesia, I would have, you know, I would have spent all the savings in plane tickets. And it's also like I grew up with some guys from Costa Rica who, and, you know, thanks to them, I got to leapfrog all the tourist hustle bullshit. You know, they took care of me through all that process. And I met some good people on the ground, so I didn't get screwed around at all. And slowly but surely made it happen.
Did you have like I don't know, like any cage builder in this hobby, you know, like in your mind, how you see stuff and how you want it to turn out, and you start making up blueprints and all? I mean, did you have like just a desk full of drawings and like, hey, I'm going to have a grotto here, or I'm going to have a cage?
Well, I mean, what it was the land that I had there that was on it was on a gentle slope, and it was shaped like, it wasn't like a square plot. It was shaped kind of like a diamond.
Okay.
So I really made the most of the space with different levels and stuff. And the idea there was to build the house myself, which took like 18 months. And, you know, make all the mistakes when I was building the house, because that's less important than to make mistakes building the zoo. And you see where the water falls and where the sun hits and et cetera, and how dry it gets in the dry season, how wet it gets in the wet season. So, you know, with a year of experiencing that, you know, I was able to put together a zoo Where honestly, even to this day, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have done it a lot different.
Yeah. How many animals, or I guess reptiles, did you start with when you finally, open up, and how much did they grow?
Well, it was one of those scenarios. It's like, I'm sure everyone in the industry can relate to this. It's like stuff when you make a plan, a lot of stuff happens before the plan comes to. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd have everything built and then the animals would come. But people were bringing me stuff, and I was getting opportunities that were good to. So I had always had live animals since the beginning of the construction, but then you just kept growing it and growing it. And honestly, I would have stayed there the rest of my life if it wasn't for the laws.
Yeah,
it got too hard to import and export, and it's like, for example, like having a cage full of something when you got males that you're never going to be able to pair up. My level of interest is not putting something in a cage and looking at it. I want to learn about them. I want to breed about them. I want to study the reproductive biology. I mean, to me, like the most interesting stuff that I'm the most interested in is the behavior and reproductive biology of the critters, because there's so much we don't know. And there's so much cool stuff that, I mean, even now, I was a little concerned that I was going to be being stateside. There would be less opportunity to observe stuff like that. But no, there's plenty of cool stuff goes on here.
Oh yeah, well, pick the right spot.
And did you start like in Costa Rica? Were the enclosures as elaborate as they are in Texas?
Not in a different way. I mean, it's like basically the lizards and turtles and tortoises were just in outdoor pens with water, and I had I had a dam that went to a water tank, and I had different pipes coming off of the water tank, so it was like everything had running water all the time. And I had fish and shrimp and stuff like that in all the ponds, so it was like it was naturally filtered.
Nice. That's kind of cool, especially the waterfall and
It's, I mean, pretty much it's the same here, because it's like the cages are so big and everything's got running water. And it's, once again, I have fish in the cages as like an indicator of the water quality, and plants where I can. So it's like basically for the bigger the cages that are on exhibit, the maintenance is basically spot cleaning and digging up eggs.
Nice.
That is so cool. Like, and not necessarily transitioning from Costa Rica to Texas, but what changes, like what lessons did you learn in Costa Rica that you did not repeat in Texas? Like, how did you make it better? Let's just say.
Okay. I made it a little more user friendly, because it gets real hot here and people like to be comfortable. So it's indoors. Everything's indoors here, but we have these special, very expensive UV translucent skylights. So I haven't seen any downside from keeping the stuff indoors. Stuff like plumifrons, like when they're indoors too much, or caiman lizards, they get like really bug eyes and the color isn't quite right. We don't get any of that here. I mean, we have supplemental lighting as well, but most of it's natural. And what they say, it's like an hour of natural light is more beneficial than 12 hours of synthetic light.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and what's it like in the winter? Because
wintertime, okay. Yeah, it does get cold, and it's also like wintertime here. It's like it's bipolar. It'll be freezing in the morning, and then it'll get up to 80 in the afternoon some days.
Okay.
And I'm not exaggerating either. It's very bipolar, and so we have to be prepped for that.
The plumifrons, those are the ones I sent you, right? The pair.
Yeah. You said I think you said one.
Yeah, maybe it was just that male. Can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was a male. Yeah, but no, yours look good. The one that you sent looked good because you know what you're doing. But I'm just using that as an example because that's a high sun lizard. A lot of times in captivity, you don't see them looking how they should.
No, actually, those guys came from Eric Haycraft, who he breeds them out here. Well, not in Illinois, but yeah, he's got some quality ones. But anyway, back to Costa Rica. Did you have the species? Were they a lot of them like from like South America, or did it have a nice wide diversity from Africa, Asia, Australia, or North
I'd say
America?
it was like 50% local and 50% exotic. Because, two reasons. One, I like the exotic, and two, I figured when the laws changed, they would be easier on me if I had exotic stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's how a lot of countries are. It's like, in Mexico you can have mambas and cobras and all types of crazy stuff, but you can't have the local stuff.
Yeah.
They care about that. They care about their own stuff more than other stuff.
Yeah. How was like your construction out there? Were you using a lot of I don't know, local materials, like kind of what you did in Texas, where you're kind of refurbishing, stuff that had to be ripped up and taken out, and
there it was like we used everything was made out of block, and I had for the outdoor enclosures and the quote indoor enclosures. These wasn't really indoors. I had like a big gallery that was open on the sides, and I had like a roof system that you could crank up with a boat winch. So when it was raining, you could close it, and
nice.
Yeah, which was, there was also like a fringe benefit came out of that, which was I can take no credit for this, but like if you set that at a certain if you left those open during the dry season, at the dew point at like 4 a.m. or whatever, water would condense on the roof and drip into the cages, so everything would get a drink and the plants would get watered. We did a little experiment with that, like on setting the roof at different places to see if like some of the more sedentary animals, like emerald tree boas and eyelash vipers, would set themselves up to get dripped on.
Oh, nice.
And they did.
So cool.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. I mean, that'd be an interesting study in the wild to see if during the dry season, like stuff like that, emerald boas and some of the tree vipers on purpose set themselves up in places like under the corner of a big leaf where they get dripped on at the dew point.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense. Plus the general coolness of the morning, transitioning from the night and the humidity build up and all that. I mean,
right.
Yeah, that's definitely another net benefit of being able to keep stuff outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. I mean, it's not practical to do in Texas where I'm at, because it gets, because of the temperature and that. I mean, I was just in Florida, and I was just, kind of looking off into the sunset, just thinking, wow, I do miss this. If I was in Florida, if I would have set up in Florida and said I could have done stuff. But I mean, Florida's got a downside as well with the laws and the hurricanes, and stuff like that. So,
yeah, it's scary how stuff could change in a whim, and you're legal one day and you're illegal the next. So that's too bad.
Right, exactly.
How did you develop like your budget for your zoo in general, whether Costa Rica or down in Texas, like feeding, allocating, do I breed my own rodents, my own insects, buying fruit in bulk, and then greens, working with I don't know, I know in some states you can work with like the DNR and get like roadkill deer and be like, yeah, I could feed them off to, my big cat sanctuary kind of a situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, in my case, that's not necessary. But we are sponsored by some places who hook us up and give us good deals with rodents. We also raise our own rodents. We raise our own bugs, but we do supplement from time to time.
Yeah.
I've been working with a guy I'm sure named Kai Fan. Yeah, he's renting a piece of land from me, and so he's slowly but surely moving his facility out here. And so we've got his bugs at our disposal now.
Nice.
Which works. And it's just, with the business, you always have to work it. For most people, just try like, okay, I got to make more money. I got to make more money, which, okay, I do that too. But it's like, you got to I'm always looking for ways to spend less money.
Absolutely, especially with the size of the place that you have. I mean, you also have educational programs too, right?
Oh yeah. We get a lot of schools and home schools, and yeah, that's always important, because it's like, you know, in a changing world, it's you kind of got to justify your existence.
Mm.
You know, and if you're giving classes, I haven't done this here yet, but in Costa Rica, we gave classes to the firefighters and first responders on how to handle snakes and whatever. And
Yeah.
so it's like, you know, the more support you got, the better off you are.
Definitely. That
Absolutely.
definitely helps.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you have a lot of staff?
It's like a chess game.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I got, honestly, no, the staff is not huge. The staff is myself and my wife and Ari and his wife.
No, I meant in Costa Rica.
No, it was I had like a gardener, I had a maintenance man, and I had somebody help me with the animals.
So pretty low.
Yeah, it's pretty low, but I mean, I work myself. I'm a hard worker. I always have been. So I mean, I would rather focus on quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you able to? You said you kept quite a bit of venomous out there as well, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like venomous, but I mean, I couldn't. One thing, I was never able to have like old world venomous out there. So I've been
no cobras, no mambas.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have anything like that. But I mean, I'm not into mambas really, but I do like some of the cobras.
Yeah.
So I got some water cobras here. I mean, the true water cobras. I got the Nana and Annulata. And I got some Atheris and a bunch of old world vipers as well, which I've never been able to work with. So that's cool. I'm enjoying that.
So what's
Definitely.
like a normal day? Like, what's the start of a Quetzal day at Reptilandia?
All right. I wake up at like 6:30, do some push-ups, have breakfast, and I go down and set up the building. Go check everything, make sure everybody's okay. Everything, we spray everything down once a day. We have an RO unit. The water in Texas is real hard, and it gets dry. So I think it's important. Even like stuff that you would think of from drier areas, they still from the dew point at early in the morning, they do get their humidity. The deserts are not completely bone dry.
You ever use foggers or?
Yeah, we have a fogger. We have a fogger for the Bolin setup and for the Mangshan setup, the Mangshan Vipers. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I've learned. It's pretty interesting here is the Mangshan Vipers really to shine. They like to be soaking wet. That's not an animal that you're gonna. I mean, if you would have kept a Bushmaster like that, they'd be dead in a month. But they never get any skin fungus, and they always seek out the water when they're getting dripped on. And something interesting too, with only a few exceptions, I noticed that in like wild female Mangshans and males look almost identical with the patterns, but in captivity, in most cases, the females get like a bleached look to them. And that hasn't been the case with ours, which I'm positive is because we keep them so wet.
Yeah.
But there's one pair that we raised, and they look. I mean, it's hard to tell them apart from sometimes, and as adults. But there's another pair that I'm working with that has I got on a breeding loan, and those the female has that bleached look, but she seems to be getting more vibrant colors.
Yeah.
But that's something that's really interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's hard to say. It's a good question to see why that happens with the males and not the females. Because maybe it could be the skin is more porous on the females because they need to stretch to accommodate huge clutches of eggs. Well, or it could be because their kidneys are a different size for the same reason. I don't know. But
that's interesting.
That's something that's worth investigating.
Are you planning to, I don't know, expand more in Texas? Like maybe in 5 years, like, hey, open up another section of this building, or you guys still kind of?
It's possible, but for now, I mean, the only way that I can handle, I'm not a rich guy, so it's like the only way I can handle like taking on a big project is to compartmentalize it. Just like, okay, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to come up with the money for this phase of it, and I'll worry about everything else later. And
Gotcha.
then, so little by little. I mean, I don't have like a management. I mean, like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I don't have anything like that. But I mean, I would like to, do some outdoor stuff here eventually.
Yeah, be ideal for some of them species.
Yeah, it's and just set them up in such a way that set them up in such a way that now that I know the climate well, that it won't be a problem. Like one thing I learned in Canary Islands, because that was like a subtropical climate. It's kind of like here. It didn't get as cold there, but it did get cold. But as far with like the stuff like rhino iguanas and all the Australian stuff, as long as that stuff could get underground, they were fine in cold snaps.
Yeah,
because it's like they're insulated there, and they're also it's like they're in a when they're underground, their bodies are going to shut down, and they're going to deal with the cold better. Because it's like leaving something outdoors in a fish tank is completely different than leaving something outdoors in a place where it can get it can pick and choose.
How did you deal with because I've thought about setting up stuff outside for a while now, and I still haven't done it. But, how do you deal with like just native animals, and you have exotics, and everything from like insects to maybe rodents, birds. I mean, there's definitely risk with.
Oh, absolutely. Some of it was a benefit, some of it wasn't. Like in CR, I was worried army ants were going to be a problem, and they were not. When they swept through, they did bother. I remember them bothering beaded lizards and I had to pull those out. But they didn't really bother anything else because the army ants are designed to eat in other invertebrates. But what else? Some of the stuff that happened down there was good. Some of it was bad. I had a scorpion get in and kill some macraei, which was a big drag.
Oh, geez.
But I had these Xenosaurus from Mexico, Xenosaurus sanmartinensis.
Okay.
And I noticed they were a little fat for my liking, right? So then I put them on a diet, and they were still fat. Then I was asking myself, like, yeah, what's going on here? And then one day I saw one eating a slug. So all right, that was cool. Nobody knew that they ate slugs. And another time, a porcupine got into the crocodile's cage there, an American croc that we had, and the croc killed it, but it had its face full of spines. And
how did you manage getting the quills off of like the alligator?
Well, we actually, what happened is like they fell out on their own after a couple days, which is we were deciding what to do and how to do it, but they fell out on their own. And what was interesting too is the croc, it ate the porcupine's head, and it ate the porcupine's tail, because it was one of those prehensile tail porcupines that we had down there. And then when we tried to get the dead porcupine out, the croc was not happy and fought us tooth and nail for that. So I think what the scenario there was, what the croc was waiting for the porcupine to rot a bit so the quills fell out and then it could eat it.
Makes sense.
But I mean, it's like, yeah, but if you're open to the public, you can't have like a rotting porcupine bobbing in the water and be, oh, we're doing an experiment. Sorry. Hope you understand.
Get all the feedback. They're so bad at that zoo.
Oh yeah, forget it. You can see the writing you can see that coming.
All right, guys, we're gonna say hello to who's joined us so far. We have Mike Duval. Hello. We also have Josh Sweet has joined us. He said he met Quetzal at Daytona.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Mike.
Amy Campbell. Good morning, good day, good afternoon. We have Amy's Reptile Adventures. Hey, girl, how are you?
Hello, Amy.
And oh my God,
Hi, Amy.
Mike. Any
Hey,
chance
Mike.
people will have raptors outside? Mike Stefani asks.
Cool, Mike. How are you?
What did he ask?
He asks, any chance Quetzal will have raptors outside?
Oh, no, we don't have any raptors.
Okay, that
It's a whole
answers.
different regulation, I would take, too.
Yeah, I mean, I've honestly, now that you bring it up, I never gave this any thought until now, but I mean, I haven't seen, there's all types of, people have all types of crazy animals here, but I haven't
Sure.
seen any, I haven't seen or heard about any raptor collections.
Mm. And how many monitors you guys have out there?
All right, we got a fair amount. We've got Mertens, we've got Parentes, we have a Parenti. We have Salvadori. That's probably the most interesting stuff we're doing is with the Salvadori. I'll get back to that. We have Spinulosas, which is one of my personal favorites. We have a couple of Niles, thanks to Brian. We have a blue tree. We have a pair of yellow trees.
Lace.
And what else? And lace. Yeah, lace. Once again, thanks to Brian.
How is he doing?
Well, they're actually doing better now because it was like, last year we got a lock, but we didn't get any eggs.
Yeah.
And then we moved them in a different cage, and then we tried, nothing. I know your male was a proven breeder, but it doesn't. Sometimes monitors are like people. If they don't like each other, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So we ended up. I borrowed a male from a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And he was useless, and so then we moved your male and the female into a different cage, and now he's all over her.
Nice.
Just the last couple of days. So that's looking good. I mean, it's the scenario is just like it takes time, for stuff to get dialed in.
Sure. Speaking of monitors,
And you can't.
Mike wants to know if there's any breeding with the Mertenses yet.
Yes, the females. I haven't seen any locks yet, but the female looks very pregnant.
nice.
Yeah.
So, Quetzal, I don't know whatever happened with this animal, but I remember back when you were getting ready to go to Costa Rica, to go to Canary Islands there. I remember you gave Mark Bayless that Indicus. It was a yellow tree monitor, kind of yellow. And can you cover like the backstory of that animal? Because I remember Bayless telling me about it, and I seen like a photo he had of it, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, here's the scenario. It was imported. I don't know who imported it, but there's a guy named Joe Robeson who was long dead. He was a boa guy out of Maryland or something like that.
Okay.
He got his hands on it, and I recognized it as something different, so I bought it off him. And it was a small Indicus complex thing. That was obvious. But it was filled. It was about like a foot long, but it was like filled out like an adult. Okay. You know how like certain animals you can tell like what's, you can have an animal that's a foot long, and you can tell it's an adult. So then I had some guy, I can't remember his last name for the life of me, but he was like an academic who I had never heard from since, came over and we did a bunch of scale counts and stuff, and they were different. And Mark, Mark was like a search engine, because this was like before Google and all that. Yeah, before all that shit. So, Mark would he'd write letters to like priests and GIs all over the world, and he'd gather information like that. And he did a really top-notch job doing it. And he determined he talked to some GIs who were stationed in Nagella, Florida Island.
Okay.
Who said that they had seen stuff like that. They had seen small green indicus over there, and there was another guy who I knew in New York who had traveled through Australia and the Solomons, New Guinea in the 70s, who had also seen those over there. So then Mark, when that animal died, I believe it's in the California Academy of Sciences now. Mark tried to formally describe it, and call it a Dwyer eye, but it was like the description was rejected because it was there was no proof of where it came from. Okay. And then recently, you know, when I say recently, within the last like 5-6 years, after the Solomons opened up again, some of those made their way to captivity, and those were from the Florida Island complex, Florida Nigella. And so Mark was right. You know, it's too bad he didn't live long enough to be vindicated. Yeah, but whatever.
Wow. And we have a question here from Timothy. He wants to know, does Quetzal have experience with bird-eating snakes?
Oh, yeah. I'm the one who introduced those to captivity.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I bred loads and loads of those in Costa Rica. And they were like a snake that was like never appreciated. You know, they used to ship them in out of Suriname and places like that as king cobra food. But
look at that. Wow.
But they were not, I mean, it's like a rat snake. They're easy to keep, they're easy to breed, they're very, very variable. You know, they come in pink and orange spots and blue and all types of stuff. So they have
like
a couple of
locality preference, or is it just they're multicolored no matter where they're from?
They're variable. They're variable within the locality, but it's a little, I'd say half and half.
Okay. You
know, it's like the Caribbean ones have a certain look, but they're variable, and the Pacific Coast ones were variable in a different way.
What are the what eggs are you using to feed them? Like quail eggs, or are you going bigger?
Oh no, they need chicken eggs. They had tremendous gape.
Okay.
You know, like one that was about as big around as like a silver dollar could eat a pigeon, no problem.
Oh, okay.
And they we'd feed them eggs, and we'd feed them mice and birds, and they were easy. And, you know, the babies too, because they got such a tremendous gape, were, you know, no problem to assist feed.
Nice.
But, yeah, that was a neat snake. You know, I did see a couple, there's a couple of people who are loyal to those and are breeding those in the States. But, yeah, that was a neat snake. I miss having those. I would like to get those again.
Those are cool. Those are really cool. I have a lizard on my legs here.
So, Quetzal, what was the? I remember reading your. It was your field observation. It's printed in Biwak. I can't remember where you were. I just remember whatever the monitor was. It was up in the sago palms at like some banana farm or something that you were.
Okay. Well, that could have been spinulosus in the Solomons, or that could have been the Juxtindicus in Rennell. I'll take a second to tell you both stories. The spinulosus was, the scenario was like, you know, I'd always been fascinated with spinulosus, and you know, they were known from the holotype, and a couple, I think in the early 90s, came into the pet trade in California. But, you know, that was the extent of it. And then, you know, I went over there and, you know, with the mission to go find them. And, you know, after spending thousands of dollars to get there, and, you know, four or five planes and 3 boats to get to the island where they're from, you know, seeing that their island was overrun with cane toads did not make me a happy camper. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding. But, first day I was out, you know, I did talk to local people, and they were familiar with the monitors, and I was walking along a trail on Isabel Island, or like a road. I mean, like it's something that could handle, not like a road, something that could handle like a 4x4 or a tractor or something like that. And you know, this guy came out of the woodwork, and you know, he gave me a coconut. He cut open a coconut for me, and he was like, "You're walking to the Colomolo." That was the name of the village. And I was like, yeah. And then we started talking about monitors. And, you know, I was like, he was walking faster than I would have liked to have walked, but I didn't want to be rude because he just gave me a coconut, and I want to pick his brain too. And he was like, there's the big lizard here. We call it a saba. You know, they come out during the day, and I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, that's cool, but okay, now how am I going to lose this guy? And then we hear like a rustle, and then spinulosus runs through the bush, and it runs like halfway up a palm tree, and it turns around and cocks its head and looks right at us, and then the sun like comes out from behind a cloud, and it's right on it, and the guy's like, Saba. Nice. That was a great moment. That was one of the high points of my life. I'm sure a select few will understand that.
Cool.
Wow.
I didn't know you went to Rental Island for Juxta indicus. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was neat. That was like when we got off the when we went there. Like they're very common there. When we got to where the lake is, we're waiting for a boat, and then I could see like monitors up in a tree, and it's about noon, right? So I'm looking right at the sun, and I'm looking right up, like straight up, okay? And there's a monitor. It's out on a palm frond, and it's catching like insects and geckos, and it's like the dexterity was amazing. It's like whoosh, below the palm frond, up on the palm frond, hanging by its tail, this and that. And I'm actually thinking for a second that it's like it's a tree monitor complex, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to discover a new tree monitor and this and that, and then finally it comes down on the branch, and it's a Juxta indicus, which is, I mean, it's still cool as hell, but yeah, on the subject of Juxta indicus, on that side of the island that was more inland, they were smaller, but then when you get to like where the island's got like either 18 or 28 kilometer long lake on it, which is easily one of the most beautiful places on earth. There's nobody there, and the water's like glass. You see like all types of birds, and flying foxes, and there's two types of sea snakes there. There's one endemic sea snake that's black, and then there's the regular banded sea snakes, but they get huge in that lake. They get about 6 feet. That's probably something different as well. But when you get to that to the part of the lake that's close to the ocean, like a lot of ocean birds nest there, and the Juxta indicus can eat those, and so there are a lot, or that I suspect that's what they're doing. They're eating a lot more on that side of the lake, so they're getting a lot bigger.
Yeah,
but those are very
the tiger snakes on that little island in
Australia. Exact same logic. Yeah, exact same logic. The food shapes them, but all the Juxta indicus that we saw were very, very tame. You could come find a big adult and just like you could be like 6 feet behind it, and it would be foraging like you wouldn't there. If you got a little close, it would hustle a little bit. But
how big? We got 5 footers. Like the big Juxta indicus size, or
I think the biggest one we saw was about as thick as between an orange and a grapefruit. It's substantial. Okay. So maybe like 4.5, 4 feet. But it was a big animal that had a big meaty head, and
cool.
There's some pictures of it on my Facebook page.
Yeah, I've heard that there's two. There's a rental indicus, and then there's the Juxta indicus. They're supposedly both on there, but I don't know if it's valid or not. Just
I don't honestly see how that could be valid. But I mean, we saw some smaller ones that looked just like any other indicus, but the big ones were like, they had like shorter heads, and I don't see how that could be valid. But I mean, I think there is a report in one of the German magazines that some of breeding those, but those had come from another island.
Okay.
So I mean, my take is that Juxta indicus is probably not endemic to Rental, because it's like, Rental is not one of the places where they would ship from.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the mechanics of export in places like that. A lot of people in the States don't understand, because it's like, it's a different race of people who live on Rental than live on Guadalcanal.
Okay.
And so they don't really mix. and it's like for example, like the merchant class in the Solomons are people from Malaita, right? And they even though a lot of them live on Guadalcanal, there's places in Guadalcanal where they can't go because they don't get along with the other tribes. So even though it's easier for them to get Karusha from Malaita than from Guadalcanal.
Oh, the monkey tails.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because like the mechanics and the ethnicities in places like that, they come into play a lot.
So
it's not like it's not just like, okay, it's from the Solomon Islands, you can go whatever you want, go wherever you want. It's certain areas because they got a long history of fighting, so
yeah.
There's certain places they can't go. I mean, I could go there. You or me could go there with no problem. But
the locals can't.
Yeah, the locals can't. And if the local is of a certain ethnicity, that's gonna if the shipper is of a certain ethnicity, he's going to be limited to places where he can collect from.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of I don't know, always been a dilemma with, calling this locality this, and it's like, no, it's actually where it's shipped out of. So
right, and there's a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. Like, for example, with the monkey tails, people are talking about, oh, I got Bougainville monkey tails. It's like that's absurd because it's like Bougainville is another country. And to get there, would cost a lot of money. And something in Bougainville, it's like there's something I saw, like some statistic that like 90% of the women and 70% of the men have been raped there.
Jesus.
So it's like, yeah, somebody's going to go subject themselves to that for an animal they can find, 40 minutes away. Come on. They might tell you it's from there, but it's, the only way to really know that stuff is go do it yourself.
Yeah,
but I do.
Jeez.
On the subject of Bougainville, there is a friend of mine, the French guy who's fascinated with like these little elapids. And there's one little elapid from Bougainville that's only been collected once, and it's his life mission to go there and find them. And he's going to be there. He's going to be there. Yeah, right. He's going to be there in October. So I told him to all the monitors take tons of pictures of.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's going to be kind of fascinating to see what's going on over there.
Yeah, absolutely, because there is a record of spinulosus from Bougainville.
It's interesting.
Well,
you were working with those too, right?
Oh yeah, I love those. Those are my favorites.
Any reptiles you would like to have in Reptilandia that you don't have already?
Oh yeah, of course. Where do I begin? I wouldn't mind working with the ceruleans now that I've the turquoise monitors. Now that I see how beautiful they are. I wouldn't mind work. I'd like to work with the Paraguay caiman lizards. And yeah, there's a fair amount of stuff. I mean, I'm disciplined even now that I'm older, so it's not like oh, I got to have this, got to have that. But it's, I mean, as of right now, what's realistic, I want to just pair up everything that I have single animals of.
Yeah,
but there are a couple of animals out there that are yeah, I'd kill somebody for to work with. Not single animals. I would groups and to learn about them and get them set up and stuff.
It's too bad you guys can't have like Fiji Island iguanas or some of these other species that that one gecko that's all green. It's like
oh yeah, the New Zealand geckos. Yeah, those are pretty awesome.
Yeah,
but yeah, I had Fiji iguanas in Costa Rica, which did not do well, believe it or not.
Really?
They got like a skin fungus, and they lasted about like 8 months, and they died.
Oh,
but you would think like you did something like that outdoors, there would be a perfect setup. But I know somebody in Indonesia who had them as well, and they said the same thing. They didn't do well. But I think, my personal theory with the Fijian iguanas, it's like when you look historically, like the places, all the zoos that did the best with them were places that were right on the water, like San Diego Zoo and Taronga Zoo in Australia. So I think they really like the salt air does a lot for them. Yeah, because they do have a salt gland. There's plenty of people who have been successful without keeping them that. But if I ever had a chance to work with Fiji iguanas again, I'd spray them with water like once every couple of weeks or whatever to see if that had any.
It's actually
if there was any benefit from that
aspect and observation with because you think it's Fiji Island, so yeah. It's kind of like Cyclura. They're always spitting snout, and they're
right, exactly. And I'm sure the salt, they don't need it per se, but I'm sure in some way it's beneficial to them.
I'm sure they're getting it just like you said in the air.
Yeah, it's what they're designed
exactly.
for. So it's like, why change it?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some stuff. Yeah, I'm going to take a second to tell you about this because this is fascinating. There's a friend of mine, this Czech guy named Peter Neckis.
Okay.
He's pretty well known. He's written books. He's like a chameleon, one of the chameleon experts.
Okay.
And he's he determined that a lot of chameleons need a lot of calcium in captivity, but they're not getting a lot of calcium from the wild diet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he went, he was all over sub-Saharan Africa studying chameleons and studying what they eat. And he came up with the conclusion that it's like, there's a couple of months a year when there's a wind blows south off the Sahara, and most of the Sahara is fossilized phytoplankton. And so basically their food gets dusted, and the dew that they drink gets dusted as well.
That's
which
crazy.
I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
It's been determined that that same wind off the Sahara gives a lot of nutrients to the Amazon rainforest.
Yes, I've read something along those lines, and people don't think about that connection. And I was like, nature is just so amazing. Like,
yeah, it is. It gets more amazing every day.
Everything's interlocked, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how far.
So Quetzal, what's the I don't know, you got like some monitor species that you'd like to target to? I know you want to pair up with what you got, but that you'd like to work with it and just maybe in the future or.
Well, I would like to work with grays in the future. There are some in zoos that have been that I was told I could have down the road.
Yeah.
If they do well, we'll see if that materializes or not. But that you've worked with grays.
I worked with that lone male, and I had him eating 17 varieties of fruit. He's the one. He ended up going on loan with the Dallas Zoo.
Dallas, yeah. Yeah, that's a black hole from what I hear.
Yeah, he died shortly after they got him.
Yeah.
I think it was like 3 months, and he was a big adult male compared to like the 3-foot male I got when I bought him. I bought him from Jay from Prehistoric Pets, of all places. Yeah, but grays would be cool.
Yeah, you had those dialed in. You were injecting crayfish with baby food or something like that.
Correct.
Something real clever.
Yeah, and then I had hermit crabs, which is something they'll eat, and he never touched them. But the crayfish, when I injected the baby food in there, I kind of copied what Winston Card was doing at Dallas, but they were using rodents instead, and the animals were just fat as a house.
Right.
But yeah, using the crayfish, injecting it with the baby food, it got them to just open up. Like every guy or every zoo that worked with grays, they started with grapes, and I went from grapes to freaking figs, the dates, the cherry. They love cherries.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. But yeah, it just it expanded that fruit intake like no other, and he had a nice balance of the crayfish and then the fruit.
Right.
So, but yeah, that'd be great if you guys could get your hands on those.
Yeah, I would love to be able to work with those.
How about any other, I don't know, like Australian species, like maybe like Spencers, or I don't even know. You guys don't have Spencers, right? Or do you?
No, we had Spencers for a while, but yeah, we don't have those anymore. I love Spencers. I think that's a neat one. I would love to work with the Semi-Remix.
Okay, Rusties.
Yeah, that'd be the Rusty Monitors would be neat, and the Mitchells would be neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's only two types of monitors: cool and cooler.
Yeah.
So you know how that goes.
That's so true.
How do you like working with the Komodo or Komodos?
Yeah, we don't have the Komodo anymore. The San Antonio Zoo took it back because it was on a loan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Komodos are cool. You know, nobody can say different. But I mean, it's, you know, the thing is, Komodos are very, very well studied.
Yeah.
And I would like to, you know, it would be more interesting for me to work with Greys.
Yeah.
You know, something like that that's need, you know, to work out, you know, what they need in captivity and what they, you know, just little systems for care and, you know, tweaking the husbandry.
They actually have them out here at Brookfield Zoo in Illinois. They've been working with them for a while now. I don't know if they got anything going with any kind of breeding, but curious. A couple of times I've been there. The guy who is the main curator for them is unavailable or was off or whatever. I want to talk with him to see what exactly what they've been feeding them there.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe one of these days.
Yeah,
but how would you, from like an intelligence level compared to like a Croc monitor and a Komodo, how would you rate it?
I'd say it's similar. I mean, if anything, the Crocs might be a little sharper.
Yeah,
but you know, neither one of them are dumb. They're both on the higher end of intelligence.
Sure,
but you know, it's also intelligence is like there's a type of intelligence that's clear to us, and there's a type of intelligence that's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's
various levels depending on what the animal needs.
Yeah, and what we see, you know, it's like, like all the Drymarchon, like those, you know, that's easy to see. That's a smart snake because, you know, like in their home range, you know, they know where all the holes are. And if they find a certain spot where they can escape, they'll keep working it, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's like something like an emerald boa. I mean, those I think are on the higher end of snake intelligence because it was like those knew their feeding schedule and CR. Like I remember, like, you know, Fridays they would all come out and, you know, be ready, and that was before they could smell the bucket of mice or whatever first thing in the morning, and they knew it was time. They had, you know, they knew that was the day they got fed.
Yeah,
but I mean, so that's a type of intelligence that's easier, that's harder to relate to than like a king cobra intelligence.
How about working with like Crocs? How do you like that, or how would you compare them to like, you know, some of these other species?
Well, I mean, I haven't worked with a lot of Crocs in my life. I worked with Acutus and CR. I had that one Acutus that became world famous when it had the virgin birth, you know, and that was on the news worldwide. And then we have Tetrataspis, the Osteolaemus tetrataspis here. And we have a dwarf caiman, the Trigonocephalus, or Trigonotus rather. Yeah. And those are neat. I'm enjoying them. It's just like I don't have space for Crocs, but I mean, my favorite Crocs, you know, in a perfect world, I would have Cuban Croc.
Cubans are
those
amazing.
Cubans are amazing. Cuban Crocs and black caimans and African slender snouts, but I mean, I don't have the space here, so I know why.
Yeah, the Cubans, I believe, are the ones that actually trot. Like they.
Oh yeah, they gallop. Yeah, it's
kind of fun to see them running.
I learned something interesting about Cubans lately. That, you know, historically there was a population of Cuban Crocs, or a Cuban Croc type of thing on Abaco Island in the Bahamas that was completely terrestrial because there's not really any standing water there. But they ate. There was like a giant tortoise there and a giant hutia that they ate.
Oh,
It's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Like I'm just wondering, like what the skin plates and everything, if they're different comparing to an ant, like a croc or a caiman that needs water.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, that's why I'm more. It's easier for me to say. I'd say like a Cuban croc type of thing as opposed to an actual Cuban croc. I mean, because they found skulls in like fossilized skulls there that were that they identified as Cuban crocs. But I mean, it's that is far from Cuba, and I'm sure they adapted a little different.
Yeah,
if they're fully terrestrial.
So they're a decent sized croc too. Definitely.
Yeah, they get up there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crocs are nothing to play with. I ran into an old friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a decade at the Daytona show who had got his arm bitten off by an alligator.
Oh,
I was like, wow, you look a little different since I saw you last.
Jeez. Wow. Yeah, you got to have a serious passion for them, but seriously know what you're doing. And the space, like, they grow. They
do.
Room.
Well,
we're at the 1 o'clock mark. You guys want to like bring up any other topic or anything that Quetzal, like how do people reach you if they want to learn more about Reptilandia?
Oh, I'm okay. We got a website. I'm on Facebook. We got Instagram. All of that stuff.
Good. You got that, guys? Facebook, Insta, they're everywhere. And
we try. You got to roll with the times,
Damn right.
You got any upcoming events at Reptilandia that are within the next month or two, or?
Oh, we got Croc Fest in October. I'm not Croc Fest, Carpet Fest. Carpet Fest in October.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
But we have birthday parties and stuff like that here all the time. But in the future, I did a buddy of mine gave me a couple of greenhouses. And one of them I would like to use as a greenhouse, and the other one I would eventually like to transform it into a like a meeting hall.
Yeah.
So we could host events here.
Oh, that'd
nice.
be so cool.
Do like a monitor
that'd be
symposium out there or something,
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be great.
Exactly. Yeah, do how like Bob Ashley does, and that'd be cool.
Well,
that sounds
for sure.
Awesome. We also had, I forgot, Catherine's here. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
Almost forgot. That was pretty much it, though, that joined us. But so everybody, this is Quetzal from Reptilandia in Texas. You can find him on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere else. He's a part of our reptile community. And Brian, thank you so much for filling in for Mike.
Well, yeah, thanks to you and Mike for allowing me to co-host, and Quetzal, thanks for coming on and
thank you. I
sharing
enjoyed
your
it. I like talking to reptile people.
interesting life.
Yeah, Mike and I always say this, but we're definitely going to have like a Quetzal 2.0. We're always going to have like Brian on board so that we can actually, I'm sure Mike hates the fact that he didn't get to talk to you today. So we have to do this again.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry about that.
Awesome sauce.
There's a lot more we could talk about. But Brian, I'll hit you soon. I might be in Chicago in a couple of weeks. So
Yeah, definitely.
I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah, I'll hit you up with the zoo and take a look at the grays and do whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Let me know.
Everybody, thank you for joining us on Monitor Talk.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Work. The coolest reptile network in the world. We'll be back in 2 weeks with our next guest, and Mike will be with us. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Goodbye. Take care.